Although it wasn't that long ago when the World Wide Web or the internet first came out, nobody really knew what it was. So let's take a trip back in time to actually see what it was like.
Back now at 56 past, I wasn't prepared to translate that as I was doing that little tease.
Oh, that's
that little
right.
mark with the A and then the ring around it.
At?
See, that's what I said. Kay said she thought it was about.
Yeah. Oh.
But I'd never heard
Or
it.
around
I'd never
or
heard it
about.
said. I'd always
That's
seen the
right.
mark, but never heard
Yeah.
it said. And then it sounded stupid when I said it. Violence at NBC.
I heard
something
around
big
or
fight
about.
up in the lunchroom the other
See,
week.
there it is. Violence at NBC. GE.com. I mean,
Well, Allison should know.
what
do you
is
say to that,
internet
Allison?
anyway?
Internet is that
Massive computer
right,
network.
the one that's becoming really big now.
What do you mean? That's big. How does one? What do you write to it like mail?
No, a lot of people use it and communicate. I guess they can communicate with NBC writers and producers.
This was the level of understanding back in the early 90s. And I can honestly say everyone on this webinar now uses the internet multiple times a day, every single day, and it has now become part of everyday life. But that isn't the case with all new technologies, is it? Here's the truth. All truths pass through three stages. The first stage is that it is ridiculed. Think about the Wright brothers. They wanted to fly. And do you think they were ridiculed for it? More than likely, but they did eventually fly. And then it becomes violently opposed. New ideas people oppose just because they don't understand it and are afraid of change. And when it is proven to work and is successful, it is finally accepted. So think about this. They wanted to fly and were ridiculed for it. It was opposed because people got injured. And now it is an acceptable means of travel. There are thousands of flights every day. So keep that in mind when I talk about this. The internet wasn't always that way. Back in 1995, Clifford Stoll wrote a Newsweek article titled, "Why the Internet Will Fail." He said that nothing will ever sell on the internet. It just won't work. Why? Because there were no salespeople. Now just look at Amazon. It has become a multi-$100 billion company. Now let's think for a moment. How many great ideas and new technologies have influenced your life that just a few short years ago did not even exist? The number is staggering. Now back in 1991, Tim Berners-Lee invented what was called the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, or the World Wide Web. That'd be www or HTTP. And he said the web as he envisioned it, we have not seen it yet. The future is still so much bigger than the past. Now remember, the Internet of Information, the Internet of Things, the next step is the Internet of Value. And back in 1994, Jeff Bezos started a small company in his garage called Cadabra, which later became Amazon, and currently is valued at $246.7 billion, that's with a B, dollars. That's $16 billion more than Walmart. And how about in 1998 when Larry Page and Sergey Brin were running a new search algorithm called Backrub, and it became so popular that the servers shut down because it worked so well. And that's when Google was born. The site is used so much today that we actually turned it into a verb. We don't say search it, do we? We now say Google it. And then in 2004, Mark Zuckerberg came up with a social platform built for students. And it has become so popular that if you counted the users and compared them to countries, it would be the third largest nation in the world. And then in 2007, Steve Jobs came out with the touchscreen. And now that has become a mobile computing platform. And it does so much more today compared to the Motorola flip phone that everyone used to have. Now think back. You never thought these types of things would ever be possible, but now they're just part of everyday life. Now things are all digital, and they all disrupted the way we did business in the past. For example, sending a letter or sending an email is just so much simpler and faster now. And remember video stores? Well, now you have Netflix. That makes it much easier and more convenient. They pretty much put Blockbuster out of business. And when was the last time you actually used the Yellow Pages? Probably not in a long time, because we now have Google. Or how about the rotary dial phone? Everyone now has a mobile computing device that makes phone calls. And that's what is happening. Disruption is essential to innovation. And now the next thing is the most inefficient system that we have out there, and that's the banking and finance industry. Traditional banking is facing a ton of challenges. Why? Because they're not delivering the level of service that customers are expecting, especially in regards to technology. And the regulatory requirements causing banks to spend an inordinate amount of discretionary budget on building systems and processes to keep it up with escalating requirements. And everyone is dissatisfied with the abusive fees for services such as monthly maintenance, transfer fees, ATM fees, and other service fees that are at an all-time high. And the number one reason is increasing competition from financial technology companies. The increasing popularity of these fintech companies is disrupting the way traditional banking has been done. And this creates a big challenge for them because they're not able to adjust quickly to the changes. Now here's a short video by a woman named Catherine Besant. She's the Chief Operations and Technology Officer for the Bank of America. Now I want you to take notice when she's talking about cryptocurrencies and the blockchain technologies.
How infant are you on blockchain?
Well, blockchain is very intriguing, and for us it's a balance between not wanting to be Neanderthal, but not wanting to put something out in a commercial application where the commercial application is still very clear. As a technologist, the technology is fascinating, and we have tried to stay on the forefront. I think we have somewhere around 15 patents. Most people would be surprised. A Bank of America with patents in the blockchain or cryptocurrency space. Very important in the intellectual property world to reserve our spot even before we know what the commercial application might be. So very intrigued technologically, but what's the commercial application?
Some blockchain developers are skeptical. They say actually big business don't understand what we're doing. They don't understand the practical applications. And as you say, you're kind of getting in there early. You put your hands on it, even if you don't understand actually what you have your hands on.
Well, the first definition of a Neanderthal is denial, right? So the whole idea would be not to start from that perspective.
Now, what did we hear? We heard Neanderthal, intriguing. We don't know what it's all about yet. 15 patents, which is more like 35 now. These are things that big companies are paying attention to because the industry is changing. All these companies are on board with the new blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. They understand that the old banking system is old and outdated. Now, why is there so much interest in this new technology? Well, there's 2.3 billion reasons why. Over 2.3 billion people are without banking services in the world. Why? Well, according to the Global Findex database, it's because of lack of money to use an account, distance to financial institutions, prohibited costs, and lack of trust in the banking system and devaluation of our money. And now the simple but painful truth. Only 41% of adults in developing economies have an account. That number drops to just over 20% among adults living in extreme poverty. Women in particular are largely excluded from the formal financial system. And only 37% of women have accounts compared to 46% of men. So now why should you pay attention or even care? Well, this is Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss. They're co-founders of something called the Gemini Exchange. Now, they also have their hands in something called Facebook, and they're 1% owners of all of one of the cryptocurrencies that are out there. And they're quoted as saying, "It's the smartest people in the room that are the most excited about this." So what are they seeing? Well, what are some of those smart people thinking? Well, here we have Sir Richard Branson. He's the founder of the Virgin Group, like Virgin Records, Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Galactica. He owns his own island. And he's saying, it feels strange to think of a world without cash. No more notes or coins to find down the back of the sofa. But it appears that's the way things are heading. And then we have a gentleman by the name of Ben Bernanke. He's the former Federal Reserve chairman, so he should know a little bit about currency and banking. And he says that virtual currencies may hold long-term promise, particularly if the innovations promote a faster, more secure, and more efficient payment system. And here's probably the best one from Bill Gates, the owner of Microsoft. In the future, financial transactions will be digital. That's not might be digital, or they will be digital and universal and almost free. Now, you can look on the internet and look up Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and you're going to see that they have given millions of dollars in grants to companies that are developing this type of technology. And even countries are getting involved in cryptocurrencies. Just look at Sweden. Only 3% of their national economy is cash transactions. And in the country of Kenya, they have 19 million people are subscribed to something called M-Pesa, which is a cashless payment system. And even in Canada, you have something called the BA International, and they're saying that since January 2013, they're not printing any more Canadian currency. So why is cryptocurrency a better way? Well, it's more secure. There's a fixed amount. And in fact, back in 1971 in the United States, Richard Nixon done away with something that was called the Bretton Woods Agreement. And that meant that our money was no longer backed by any precious metals like gold and silver. Cryptocurrency is counterproof, and it doesn't have any negligible fees. And just like Ben Bernanke said, it's more efficient in a digital evolving economy. So now you're probably wondering, what exactly is a blockchain, or what is a cryptocurrency? Well, before I can answer those questions, I'm going to have to give you a short but important history lesson on money. Now, I'm not going to go all the way back in time to the beginning of what things were used as currencies, but there was a point at one time that we used precious metals like gold and silver as a currency, but it just wasn't convenient. And then we went to paper and coin money. Now, in the United States, we used to have gold and silver certificates where you could take it into a bank, and upon demand, you could get like $10 worth of gold or silver. Then we went into the digital age with credit cards and debit cards. When they first came out, everybody thought nobody's going to accept this piece of plastic, but everybody's got a couple of them in their wallet now. And then we went into more of the digital age on the internet with online payment systems like PayPal, Pop Money, Rocket Pay. Heck, even Facebook now, through Facebook Messenger, you can send money up to like $2,000 a day. And then from there, we ended up having like Samsung Pay, the Google Wallet, Apple Pay, Android Pay, stuff like that. And then we went into what's called a digital wallet, where your cryptocurrency would be held. And when I say cryptocurrency, now we're going to talk about a first of its kind. Now, back in October of 2008, a person by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto developed something that was called Bitcoin, and it was created to provide an alternative to the banking system. And unlike most currencies, cryptocurrency is issued according to a set of fixed rules. The idea was to create money whose value could not be manipulated by a central authority. Unlike the Federal Reserve, if they need more money, they just print the money and if it's millions or trillions of dollars, and put it out into the economy. And what does it do when they do that? It makes the value of your currency go down. Unlike a cryptocurrency where there's a finite or a fixed amount of currency that can't be manipulated by a central authority. Now, how is cryptocurrency created? Well, it's mined, just like gold. And no, I'm not talking about using shovels and pickaxes and digging in the dirt. We'll just say it's called a cyber mine. And you use a computer, and the computer is figuring out a mathematical algorithm or a mathematical equation, and is doing trillions of equations a minute until it can find the right answer. And when it finds the right answer, you get cryptocurrency. Now, just like gold, cryptocurrency is programmed to be scarce. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's just say you walked out your front door, and if there would be gold nuggets laying all over the ground, how much do you think they'd actually be worth? Probably not much. That's just like comparing it to blades of grass. Blades of grass aren't much either. But what makes the cryptocurrency gain value? Well, let's look at it this way. It's all in the difficulty factor. When they first started mining for the cryptocurrency, there was hardly anybody mining for it, so it was easier for your computer or the computers to figure out the algorithm to find the right answer. Well, over time, those coins are becoming more and more scarce, which means it's getting harder and harder to find the answer to the algorithm, which then drives the price of the cryptocurrency up. Now, here's an example of how the cryptocurrency was valued. Back in 2009, a single Bitcoin had a value of just 10 cents. And that was because it wasn't being publicly traded, and you couldn't really buy anything with it, and it was just starting to take hold. So there was hardly anybody mining it. But in 4 short years later, in November of 2013, more and more people started taking notice of Bitcoin, and were starting to accept it more on the internet, and the price of it went from 10 cents all the way to $1,242.03. That's an insane amount of value. Now here's an example of someone that took action. This guy's name is Jared Kenna. He's basically a Bitcoin millionaire. He purchased the first round of Bitcoins for 20 cents each, and he bought a total of $1,000 worth. Now, he traded Bitcoins for approximately $258 each. That's a $1.29 million profit. And then he turned around and funded TradeDigital.com, which is the second largest Bitcoin exchange. Now, there are literally hundreds of crypto coins to choose from on the market today. And why is that? Well, it's because everyone's trying to build a better mousetrap. Ever since Bitcoin came out, they're trying to make little improvements on it and come out with a better version.